we're back.
Yeah, we're back. Is your heart going a little faster than normal?
Oh man, like inches from Besser ending it, and you know, if there's a 4-on-3 power play in overtime, when there is a blatantly obvious tripping call on Garland that does not get called because for whatever reason the rules change apparently in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, hard fought game. Like considering the depleted lineup, the very end of a road trip, probably the toughest opponent we've faced in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be pretty pleased with the effort overall as a team. Pretty good to come out of there with a point against the number one team in the league right now.
Yeah. Another game where the Canucks outshoot their opponents 32-29. Coming up with a huge third period, too. Like the flurry at the end, that they had 16 shots in that third period, which I can't remember a time when the Canucks even had double digits in any period, let alone 16 shots. So good to see them just getting some shots through. And did it seem like Gustafsson was having a lot of trouble controlling his rebounds tonight?
He did late in the third there for sure. He was juggling the puck a bit. I don't know. It's uncharacteristic for him, that's for sure.
And the Canucks were all over that. It looked like DeBrusk had a couple good chances off those rebounds. But I mean, and two, right? Like pretty much the worst case scenario you can look at. Brock Besser hits a post. It goes off the post around the boards, creates a 2-on-1 going out of the OA. And the guy who's waiting for the one-timer shot is Kaprizov, who now has 16 goals on the season. But yeah, overall, we'll take the point. We'll laugh. I mean, even Lankinen still hasn't lost a game in regulation, so that kind of keeps his streak going. Was there any other players that impressed you for the Canucks tonight?
I think considering how tough it's been for him the last week or so, Höglander had a very solid game start to finish. It was good to see him driving his feet and pushing the play into the Minnesota zone. He really cleaned it up after the first period when we talked about those little things he was doing. He stopped doing that. He was dumping it in. He was forechecking hard, and he got close. Got a couple good chances too, using his feet to get to the front of the net. So hopefully that's all good signs in the right direction, and maybe next game he can bury one and get the so-called monkey off his back.
I think it's a gorilla at this point. But I mean, the other thing that you really see it, like if you're looking for the level of confidence Tocchet has in Höglander in a game like that, he was on the ice for the last 20 seconds of that game. So that tells you everything you need to know about where Höglander was at the end of this game.
Well, Tocchet's always rewarded the guys who work hard, and he's always had the guys out there that he's had a feeling about, right? And if he thinks someone's going to have a good game, he makes sure they're on the ice when it matters. And that's good to see because if somebody's confidence needs it, it's Höglander's.
Yeah,
You know, if you asked me when we started on this road trip if we were going to get 9 to 12 points, I would have told you were crazy.
Yeah, Höglander ended up with just under 14 minutes. He had 13:34 in the game, so up a couple minutes from the last couple games. But clearly, other than that one play we talked about in the first intermission where he did the drop pass between his legs right at center ice, there really wasn't anything about his game that I didn't like tonight.
Yep.
And then obviously we have to talk about Lankinen. The man was just out there making save after save, keeping the Canucks in for a lot of the times where it looked like they were having a hard time. But that's what he'll do for you, right? He'll keep you in those games and give you that chance to take it to overtime and get that point. And I mean, obviously not the same as playing against a Detroit or a Buffalo, because there is a chance that, you know, the Canucks in Minnesota could be looking to compete for tops in the conference once the Canucks get a little healthier and get everyone back. But regardless, like you said, probably the best team the Canucks have seen all year, and they made it go all the way down to the wire.
Yep, and it was a team effort, full 60 minutes. There wasn't really any letdown. It felt very even. Gustafsson made some big saves for Minnesota, just the same Lankinen did for us. So overall, a very positive end to a long road trip. Lots of stuff to build on there, and now they need to find a way to win at home.
Yeah, and then even like we talk about this pretty much every game, the Canucks face-off percentages, but after the first, they were They were looking really good. Things kind of got a little worse after the second period, but after that third period, right, they battled back and they ended up finishing up the game just under 57% on that faceoff dot. So, and you could see it too. It felt like the Canucks had the puck for pretty much the last 10 minutes of that third period. They gave it everything they could to win it in regulation.
They did for sure. Yeah.
How impressed are you that the Canucks managed to play against a fast Minnesota team and they only ended up taking one penalty all night?
It was really good to see. They were moving their feet, and it's nice to see us as a team that usually uses hitting as our game plan, knowing when we're physically outmatched by a team. We saw it tonight. There, some of those those Minnesota D-men are big and they are fast and they close on you in a hurry. So you got to keep your head up. Sherwood got lit up a couple times in the corner there, and yeah, it speaks to discipline of the coaching and having a game plan going in before the game, before the puck even drops.
So one thing I did feel like I was seeing a little bit out there for tonight's game, it felt like the Canucks top line, Pettersson, DeBrusk, and Besser, it seemed like they were having a little bit of a difficult time in their own zone. Brock Besser ending up a -2 tonight. Pettersson ended up being a -1 tonight. And DeBrusk ended up being a -1 as well. The only other guy on the team that was a minus was Suter. So when your top line is having a hard time in the defensive zone, like what do they need to do moving forward to change that trend?
I think it just wasn't the greatest night for them. And really, it was just two moments where the little mistake, a team like Minnesota is going to pounce on you quick. Hughes was involved in the first one, getting stuck pinching a bit. So there, I wouldn't read into it too much. We're just doing the things we needed to do. Good on us for making sure we got the point. But we need to clean up those moments. We can't be pushing the play against some of these teams. You just have to play smart, clean, boring hockey and wait for the mistakes, just like Minnesota did when they tied it up, and then when they capitalized on the post and the 2-on-1.
So even going back to the shots, the Canucks had 7 shots in the second period. Minnesota only had 4 shots. Canucks playing really well defensively. And then in the third period, Canucks had 16 shots to Minnesota's 9 shots. So that's 2 periods tonight that the Canucks turned that trend around, and actually we're getting a lot of good rubber on it. How disappointed are you that you're going to have to wait all the way till March to see this Minnesota team again?
Not very. I'm never disappointed the longer we have to wait to see Minnesota. They play that very dry trap style of hockey. Of course, they have some exciting players in Kaprizov and stuff like that. But yeah, boy, do they suffocate you and do they hit you hard, and they don't give you a whole heck of a lot. So good on the Canucks for capitalizing on a couple of mistakes and finding a way to sneak a point out of this one. Now they can head home, lick their wounds, hopefully get Thatcher Demko into the lineup and maybe renewed and refreshed JT Miller. And we move forward from here and get even more points towards the playoff run.
So the one thing I was going to ask you during the first intermission, but I forgot to, Quinn Hughes scores his goal in the first period. Beautiful slap shot from the point. He's now up to 6 goals on the season. Are we talking about a Quinn Hughes season that looks like 80 assists and 20 goals? Like, is he a 20 goal defenseman now?
He could be. I mean, with the way he quarterbacks the power play and has become more of the trigger man, and obviously the way he quickly gets the puck to the net 5-on-5. It's just if it finds the net, it might find a seam, it might find a little hole, or it might pinball in, and he gets credited for it. So the more he shoots the puck on net, the more goals he's going to get. I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about Quinn Hughes getting 100 points in a season, whether it's this year, next year, or every year to come.
Yeah, and then DeBrusk too, getting his 11th of the season tonight. Now he's, I think after this, like, I mean, what did it take him, like 7 to 10 games to score his first of the season? Suddenly he's up to 11 goals. He's now on pace for 35 goals in the season. Is this just making Boston even more salty?
I hope so.
So I know there's one person in chat, I think it's Paper, who keeps on trying to trade Big Hog for Zadorov. But at this point, with
Yeah.
that contract, $5 million a year for 5 more years, like there's no reason the Canucks even want that contract, right?
I think had it worked out in free agency with negotiations and the term and everything, and the player was still happy to be here, that's a totally different situation. He's made a decision with his life to move on and move to a different location, and um, I don't think he would be a good player to come here in the headspace he would be in. So honestly, it really makes no sense to go after a player like that, whether he had a good run here or not. I just don't think it would be the same the second time around.
Pedersen ends the night with 2 assists. Garland gets an assist. DeBrusque with the goal, and then Quinn Hughes with the goal as well. And then if we're looking on the defensive side of things, Carson Soucy actually gets one of the assists there tonight. So good to see him get a point on the board. Tyler Myers also a -2 tonight, which is kind of surprising to see with how well he's been playing lately. Did you like Tyler Myers' game tonight? Because it was still one of those things. Every once in a while, you'd see Soucy and Myers out there, and I'd have a little bit of PTSD. But I feel like even in those situations, it seems like they've both just kind of simplified what they're doing and have just been playing solid defense for the last couple of games.
Yeah, for sure. Myers just dumps it off and looks for Hughes, which you saw when he got stuck out there with Susie a couple times. He dumped it into the corner and realized it was Susie and went, "Uh-oh," and then had to go back and get it. But
Yeah.
there, for sure, Myers has looked good with Hughes. Like I said, on the one goal there, Myers was the only one trapped back, and Hughes was stuck pinching a bit. So I wouldn't put too much on Myers being a -2. That was kind of a joint effort of that line as a whole. Um, but I've actually not minded the shakeup of the defense with Hronik being out.
Mhm.
It's like I said last game, it's caused them to communicate more. They have to talk and know where each other are and where each other's going to be, and they can't be comfortable out there, and that makes them smarter, makes them take an extra second to look for who's open instead of just doing the feel play or what they think where they think somebody's going to be. Now they have to actually know, and it's shown in the last couple games with the cycle and the breakout out of our own end.
You know how I can tell a Minnesota commentator picked the 3 stars? Every single star is a Minnesota Wild, despite the fact that they clearly got outplayed through the last 2 periods of the game. Middleton takes the first star, Kaprizov takes the second star, and Gustafsson takes the third star, which is absolutely wild to me. Pun intended.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing. I'll take this moment to give props to all the guys who are Canucks commentators, because regardless of that homer feel that you get from a shorty or some of the guys that we have calling our games, they are very objective when it comes to assessing the talent in the game. And clearly the Minnesota commentators are not, because there should have been at least one Canuck, if not 2, in that 3 stars of the game, in my opinion. Do you agree on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. No, absolutely. And that is one thing we've always been spoiled with Shorty. He is incredibly unbiased, but still has the excitement and the feelings of a Canucks fan. But when we're playing bad, he's not afraid to say it, and he is great no matter who's doing color with him and the rest of the league. Like when I watch games on center ice and stuff, and you get the U.S. commentary and things, like it's you can tell who's signing the paychecks a lot of time.
Yeah, I always want to say Boston's really bad for their color, but I think I can't remember if the guy's still doing it, but the Tampa Bay Lightning guy, he goes absolutely insane in like game 3 of the regular season on a Tampa Bay goal. So we are very lucky. We've had Shorthouse, Houston, like it's we've had a lot of good guys in there, so we're very spoiled. And now Rusty
Yeah,
and Dusty.
there you go.
So we got Columbus coming in on Friday, and I don't know if you saw it. They had Johnny Gaudreau's family joining the game tonight there in Calgary. A very
Hmm.
emotional game. Is that kind of an event? Do you think that kind of thing lifts the team up, or is that going to make it a little harder for them to come in on Friday to play against the Canucks?
It's hard to say. Um, it's such a difficult situation, that one. Um, obviously, there's been plenty of time. Well, not plenty of time, but time has passed since things have happened, and
Mhm.
the team has been playing, and the regular season has kind of been going on. So these kids have kind of had a chance to process things and see how life is going to be without Johnny moving forward. Um, that being said, it never makes it easy to have any tribute to anyone whose life was ended at such a young age in such a tragic way. So um, you try to always turn negative situations into a positive and use it as a situation of Johnny would have wanted us to win this one, and you just try and use that as motivation to push yourself to be the best you can and be the best professional you can be, because that's obviously what he would have wanted.
Yeah, I think me and you have both agreed at the start of the year we want to see Columbus have a solid season in memory because such a tough situation to be in. And that team has dealt with more than their fair tragedy, losing their goaltender a year ago as well. So, but yeah, Columbus coming in on Friday to play against the Canucks, finally getting home. Do you think the Canucks jump on the plane after 3 overtime games to finish the 6-game road trip and just are they all just immediately going to fall asleep?
There might be a poker game or two on the plane, but I wouldn't be surprised if a few of those guys are catching Z's already.
Yeah, yeah, they'll just get carted out with the equipment.
Yeah.
Awesome, Dustin. I appreciate you stopping by for the post game show as usual. Do you have any final words for our crazy chat before you run?
Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you back at home on Friday.
Talk to you then, brother.
Cheers.
Nothing is perfect.